Hello. This is our living room. It's nighttime. You can't tell. And our child is asleep. Finally. And here we are. It's the episode of the podcast. This one is going to be about silly, cringy church stories. Probably mostly from youth group, honestly. Do you have any?
No, probably, but they're not going to be something I just have off memory. You are definitely the one who has more interesting church experiences than I do.
So I grew up in a weird blend of Pentecostal and Calvinistic stuff, which doesn't seem like it should go together, and I don't think it really does. But they weren't very upfront about the Calvinist side. They're just kind of like this thing that no one talked about. So that alone is weird. So I don't know how this came to be, but we were in youth group, and this was apparently a game. And I think it first happened at winter camp, and the youth pastor at the time had this giant piece of salami, and it was like this big.
That's not an actual size of salami.
No, it was massive.
Yeah, I get it. It's probably a summer sausage, like Hickory Farm style.
It was just one of those ones that's filled with preservatives and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still not that massive, but yeah, I feel you.
It was huge. So it was, yeah. And so we all sat in a circle. I feel like this just sounds like a cult, but we sat in a circle and we passed the shalom I don't know who came up with the name, but that alone is concerning, and parents let us go to this. We would pass it around. You pass the shalom and you take a bite, and then you pass it along until it's kind of like musical chairs, I think.
And that's how the whole youth group got mono.
Yeah. But I remember being like, why is it called shlong? And then the youth pastor's like, because it's a sausage and it's long. And I was like, oh, yeah, that totally checks out. And I didn't question it, which is weird because you'd think I'd be like, oh, this is really random. Why are we doing this? But no, I didn't. I was like, oh, yeah, that checks out. Let's do this.
But actually, it sounds like you did question it. You just bought into whatever you were told.
Yeah, I was like, that's a good name. That makes sense.
Good old gullible Jess as a teenager. So anyway, speaking of games, though, one of the things we should tell people is why there's a game set up between us instead of just jumping over and ignoring everything in front of us. But this is a game called Neftoffel. It's Neftoffel, and it's Viking chess. So it's kind of an interesting game where, I mean, I'm not going to get too much into it on how to play or anything that you can just watch. We're going to casually play as we tell stories and talk and stuff like that. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up on what it is in case at the end of the video you're like, that game looks kind of cool. One thing about me is that I'm really into nerdy things like board games and like making coffee in excessively different or crazy ways and stuff like that. And so I figure this is kind of like a fun way to get to know who I am as well, or getting to know who you are through asking crazy stories about church campus and stuff like that, or church stories, because it's not something I'm going to have as many stories to share as you are, because as much as we've done some pretty crazy things in the youth group I grew up with, none of them were like questionably awkward or weird or anything like that.
I have such a hard time believing that because my story was so bizarre that I can't really fathom that somebody doesn't have that.
Oh, no. I mean, we had some interesting stories too, but mine were not nearly as entertaining, I would say, as that. I think the craziest, weirdest thing I ever experienced in youth group was one of our youth pastors decided to play Ultimate Frisbee on our basketball court with a squid.
Like a real one?
Yeah, like a real squid. It was dead, so it wasn't alive. But there is something about the sensation of catching a cold, lifeless squid in your arm and having the tentacle wrap around your wrist as you try to throw it, and it go whoop because it's stuck to your arm still. It's kind of an experience. Yeah. Ultimate Squidbee.
Is that what they called it?
Yeah, that's what it came to be called. Ultimate Squidby.
Was this a reoccurring event?
Yeah, every year, probably about 2 times a year, we would play. And I remember the reason why it was so memorable is because we had one of the craziest like youth leaders, not a youth pastor, but like, well, he was weird too, but a craziest youth leader, and he was wild as wild can be. And I remember at the end of this game, so not in the beginning, not when the squid was fresh, mind you, at the end of the game, when the squid had been abused on the blacktop and everyone and anyone's hands who played, one of the tentacles had ripped off and it was about this long. And he was like, hey, if you eat this, if one volunteer will eat this entire thing raw off the ground,
in the raw
off the ground, then he would pay their entire camp tuition, which was like $150 or something like that. And so one of the kids jumped up, one of our students jumped up and was like, game, and he ate it right there on the spot.
Those kids, they always act like they're doing it for like the prize, but those kids that are always volunteering for that, they're gonna do it regardless of the prize because they're just weird like that. Like he was just waiting probably for like a weird offer, and he was like sold.
No, actually, this was one of the popular kids. He was like football player, like super popular jock guy, like not the guy you're thinking or describing at all. It was kind of an interesting oxymoron because it was just like, oh, okay.
It would have been more interesting if the squid was alive.
Pretty sure it's animal cruelty.
Yeah, that's true.
Not more interesting.
Someone's gonna send this to like someone that they know is a youth leader, and they're gonna be like, "These are great ideas."
Ultimate Squidby.
Pass the schlong.
It's your turn, by the way.
I don't even remember how to play this because it's been so long since we've played this. Maybe you should explain the rules.
All the pieces move in straight lines. And your goal as the defender, being the team in the middle, is to get your king to any of the white corners.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Your pieces can't move through, your normal pieces can't move through any of the white squares, which includes the square that's under the king. You can move as many as you want. And to capture a piece, you just have to have, like, you have to move a piece beside it on each side like that. If you're like
so you have to like box in, like the red ones have to box in the teal ones.
Not just the red ones, anyone.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they can actually see, like, I don't know how well they can see the actual game.
They can see it pretty well.
Okay.
I looked.
You looked.
I did.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's your turn. The teal team, so basically it's played an offense and defense, and the defensive team is in the middle. The defensive team is the easier team to win as, surprisingly enough, even though you have less pieces. And the offensive team has to capture the king, and to capture the king, you have to capture on all 4 sides, not just 2. So it does make it a bit more challenging.
Can't you move them like unlimited amounts of spaces?
Yeah, it just has to be in a straight line.
Okay. Don't like that, Alex. I don't like that.
One time for a youth group, we had various different like denominations of money that were crumpled up into balls, and they were thrown into those old buckets that you used to be able to get, those old toy buckets that were like.
Say denominations of money?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like a $1 bill, a $5 bill, a $10 bill.
Church denominations, and I was like, is Alex having a stroke?
No. Anyway.
Anyways.
Anyways, it was this big red toy bucket that you used to be able to buy, and the kind that were like about this deep and had those big rope handles on the sides and stuff like that. And they took one of those buckets and they filled it with ice water, and it was so cold. I just remember like it being on the verge of freezing in general, and like putting your hand in it or anything that would make you go numb. And so it still had a ton of ice in it. And so they mixed all this money in, and I think there was like $100 bill, a couple of 20s, most of them were 5s and 1s. Yeah. But then students had to like bob for the money, like you would bob for an apple to pull it out as a youth game. And I just remember at the end of it thinking, like, trying and getting no money out of it. And then now, having worked in banking for 13 years, like, there's no way I would ever willingly put money in my mouth.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, considering all the stuff that most money tests positive for fecal matter and cocaine. So, yeah, I don't know why it was a good idea for a youth game to be like, yo, let's like secondhand drugs and fecal matter.
What's with this theme? Hey kids, put this gross thing in your mouth. I regret that instantly.
Yeah.
Like the squid, the sausage thing, the gross money. That's gross. This was also at winter camp. We had it was crazy. It was like the snow was insane, but they had to shovel tunnels. We didn't like it was like 8 feet tall. Like I'm not exaggerating. 8 feet tall walls of snow, and it was the worst because you didn't. It was kind of like being in a corn maze. You didn't know if you were heading the right direction until you got there, and then you were like, "Oh, this I didn't want to go here. I wanted to go to the showers," and then you're like in the cold in your pajamas trying to get to the showers, and then everyone's judging you. Um, so we were at winter camp like this, and it was cold. I don't know why that's relevant, but it is. And to the guy from Falling Up, people who remember Falling Up, you actually, like, that's kind of where we have this weird connecting piece indirectly, but like they're from your hometown.
Yeah.
So,
Joe Kisselberg, was the guitar player for Falling Up.
So like, yeah, it wasn't the guitar player that was there, but it was another member, and he was there, and I think he got kicked out of the band for being arrogant, which was pretty obvious because that's how he was there too, and he was like a youth leader person, and he kept like flipping his hair. He had like the swoop going on, and all these like girls were like, "Oh my gosh, he's a rock star," and he was like, "We can write music. I'll teach you how." Like to all these people, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it's like Camp Rock." We had some like music writing workshop, and that's about it. But yeah, that's like a weird memory that pops up sometimes where I'm like, that is so weird, so strange.
Anyway, so like I was trying to say earlier, I went to school with Joe Kisselberg. Actually, I didn't actually go to school with him. I went to school with his sister. Joe came in actually when I was in middle school, was in choir, and he came in and helped TA one of our choir classes, and he gave lessons and stuff like that. He's kind of a cool guy. And his sister and I went to school together, Katie Kisselberg, and she was really cool person. Went to school with her. She was like 2 years older than me. So in high school, we were in choir together for like a year or two before she graduated and stuff like that. But it was kind of interesting. Just grow up and thinking like, oh yeah, this guy left school early to go be a professional musician. It's kind of a wild idea to be like, you know these people. So
Too cool for school, as they say.
yeah, apparently. Oof. Okay. Bold move. Bold move.
Oh no.
Yeah, I didn't think about that all the way through.
Got him. I just took out one of his guys, for those of you who don't know. Chopped him. Chopped him and dropped him.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, what others? There's so many weird. Oh yeah, I tried out for the. No, I didn't even try out. I just kind of showed up. This was when I think I was 14 at youth group, and I showed up to church early because my friend was like the youth pastor's daughter, and she was like doing worship, and she's like, I don't want to do worship anymore. I'm annoyed with it, and I don't want to do it. And so she was like, show up early and like just start playing music, and you'll pretty much do it. And so asked some people and like some other kids in the youth group that played instruments. I was like, hey, let's just show up early and start playing. And it just was very weird and not how things are usually done at all. So we just like all showed up extra early, brought instruments, loaded them up, and she like turned on the sound system for us. And she's like, okay, go. And our decision for the song to do was "I'm So Sick" by Flyleaf. Like we thought that that was a good choice
for worship.
for worship. So I was playing guitar and the keyboard at the same time because for some reason I thought that I needed to do that. So I like strum something and is that kind of situation.
How did I go again?
I don't know anymore. But like I remember just going for it and I was just not holding back at all. And we were just practicing the same one song over and over again. I don't have you ever heard this before?
No, this is a new story to me.
Okay, so we were just going for it and like we didn't necessarily play very well because we're all pretty young musicians. And I had just discovered that I could scream, and so I was like, you guys, I can do this. And they were like, yes, let's do it for worship. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. And so we're just playing the song. These kids come running in because they showed up finally. And they were like, oh my gosh, are you guys doing that Flyleaf song? Because that song, like that band had just kind of showed up and everybody was excited about them. They're like, oh my gosh, it's screaming. And so I was doing that, and it was with these twins who always bickered all the time. But like they were some of the only musicians in the youth group, so I was like, "You guys, let's do it." And they were like arguing all the time, and the kids came rushing in, and some kids were freaked out. Like obviously, kids who don't like screaming or metal or rock or anything. So those kids were not a fan. But the rest of the kids were like, yeah, let's go. And then the youth pastor was in a panic because he had no idea this was happening. We just like hijacked youth group. And we got there even before he did because his daughter like already drove and everything. So she's like, I'll just let you in and you can just do your thing. So we just totally broke all the rules and we're like, yeah. And then the youth pastor comes running in and he's like, what is this? Who let you in? What's going on? And he's panicking. And we were like, oh yeah, we're doing this now. And he was like, no, you're not. What are you talking about? And he's like, get off the stage. And it was like this walk of shame. We were like hanging your head and you were like awkwardly unplugging instruments. It's like, and we're like turning stuff off and we're just like, oh. And then like as we're like all ashamed and embarrassed, these kids are like, yeah, that was so awesome, let's do it again. And then the pastor's like, we're not doing it again, that was not awesome, they disobeyed me. So
disobeyed me.
Yeah, and then I tried to do worship, that same youth group, a couple weeks after that. It was like maybe a month or less, and the youth pastor just sat me down and was like, you need to stop. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, it's just not working out. And I was like, what do you mean it's not working out? I don't understand, I didn't do anything wrong. And he was like, it's just not working. And he was like, I'll tell you what, you can run sound. It's like, so he put me back there like away from everyone where I couldn't like incite a mob of like kids making bad decisions and breaking rules. So I was just all alone back there. Kind of, it felt like I was in timeout. And so I'm back there like clicking the slides and like
sound booth jail.
And click, and then he's like, turn this up, and I'm like, okay, I'm turning it up. But sometimes he'd be like, turn it up, and I'm like, I did turn it up when I didn't. And then one time he was in the middle of the message, and this was the nail in the coffin. This was what really just made everything go bad. So I was playing solitaire on the computer as he was like doing his message, and he was like at this very serious altar call type moment. And right when that happened, because like in the computer solitaire game, it deals out the cards and it does that sound, and he looks at me, he's like, are you seriously playing solitaire right now? And I just go, And I was so ashamed. And it felt like every kid, all in unison, were like looked back at me, and they were just like, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, get out. And so then I awkwardly found a seat and just kind of sat there. And then this kid leans over and he's like, hey, why are you playing solitaire? And then he's like, is someone talking? And I'm like, shh, stop. We're already in trouble. I'm already in trouble. Just drop it. So yeah. What did you think?
What do you mean, what did I think?
Well, you haven't heard that one before.
No, that's an interesting story. I just want to know if you're playing spider solitaire or the traditional solitaire. Because if you say traditional, I'm going to lose a little bit of respect. Because at that time in our lives, spider solitaire was everything.
I think it was the traditional, just because it was whatever was on the computer.
Yeah, and spider solitaire was like a default solitaire on all computers in the 90s.
Computer. It's not my computer. Not my fault.
Anyway, those of you who don't remember, spider solitaire was the greatest of computer solitaire games. It's your turn, by the way. Gosh. Yeah, I don't have anything quite that crazy. I mean, funny enough, I did run sound for our main church services on Sundays as a kid. I also learned how to run slides and all that stuff like that. When I was a high school student, like middle school, high school student, I kind of was like all in on the wanting to volunteer and be a part of something and feel like I had belonging. So I pretty much volunteered for everything. At one point, I remember having to have a sit-down conversation with someone my mom thought would be a good idea to come have this conversation with me. And they were like, so what are you doing right now as far as volunteering? And I was like, oh, not a lot. And they're like, well, what's not a lot to you? And I'm like, well, I'm only doing kids church. And then I was coming to Tuesday night a youth group to be a leader for the middle school. And then I was going to youth group on Wednesday night to be a student in the high school or whatever. And then I was showing up on Thursday nights at church to go to worship practices to help run sound. And on Sunday mornings, I was either running sound or helping park cars because our church had a huge attendance when I was a kid in the church I grew up in. And to the point where we had a parking crew to help the flow of traffic move through the parking lot so people wouldn't get stuck or accidents, stuff like that, because that had been an issue. And then if I wasn't doing that, it was during the summer, and during the summer we had an amphitheater. And so we had outdoor services for like 3 months a year. And so then we'd have to go set up sound in the morning. So you'd be at church at like 5:30 in the morning, set up sound. So like I was literally doing all that stuff on top of school and on top of sports and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, no, I've got room in my schedule for more. Yeah.
Not much has changed, I see.
I have a lot more downtime now than I ever did then. Yeah. But I did learn a valuable lesson of not over committing and overstretching myself. So yeah, especially when I also started working part-time as a lifeguard. Yeah, I had to cut back on a couple of those volunteer things, but it was kind of cool. I got to experience a lot of different things and grow into a different person. And I learned the value of saying no, even though I don't always say it as often as I should. But I also learned that it's not so much the wanting to belong or anything. I just genuinely like helping people. And so, yeah, out of everything, I guess that's what I learned.
I feel like someone could be like, I'm a serial killer. Can you help me? And you'd be like, sure, man. It's not a good idea, though. I don't really want to do this, but I just really love helping people.
No, I pretty much would not do. Not pretty much. I'm pretty confident I would say no.
Like, sure, man. I don't agree with you at all, but let's go. No, I'm kidding. It's not that extreme. Thankfully, it's not that extreme. When we met, I remember one of the things you were like bragging about is you were like,
bragging
yeah, you totally were bragging. Okay. He was like, I'm a lifeguard. And I was like, wow.
I had not been a lifeguard for years.
I know, but
so there's no way I was bragging about being a lifeguard.
You were bragging. You were like, I was a lifeguard. I could save your life if you were in water.
Pretty sure I've never in my life said those words.
I remember this.
No.
I don't know if it was exact wording, but like it was along those lines of like, You had like your chest all puffed, and you were like, "I can save you."
Never been that kind of person. I love how you're dragging my name through the mud.
And you were like,
to a bunch of people who don't know us and aren't going to know any better.
And then you were like, "Let's teach you to swim," because I'm like swimming intolerant.
Swimming intolerant.
I can swim with my head underwater, but I'm not good at swimming with my head out of water. Don't you?
She's not good at either one.
What? Yeah, probably not. But you were like, "Let me teach you my lifeguard skills. I know all about it." And then you just kind of gave up after a while.
No, I now remember this story that she's spinning quite a wild tale about. We were on vacation visiting her grandpa before we were married, and her mom had made a comment about how she'd never taken her kids to get swimming lessons, to which my now wife, at the time fiance, said, "Yeah, I've never learned how to swim." And I was like, "Oh, I can teach you how to swim. I used to be a lifeguard, and I became a swim instructor while doing that so I could teach kids how to swim." I was like, "I could always help you learn how to swim." And she's like, "Okay, sure." And I think she was trying to do it as a flirting thing with me, and I was not picking up on the cues. And I was just like, "Oh, okay, like sure, like let's actually teach you how to swim." And then I remember getting in the pool, and she's like, "What do you think of my bikini? What do you think of my swimsuit? What do you think about this? Do I look cute? How does my hair look like?" And I was just like, "That's fine." And I was like, "You're gonna have to put your face in the water to swim." And you're like, "I don't want to mess up my makeup." And I was like, "We're in a pool to swim. Like, there's no point." You
don't understand, Alex. I did this for you.
Yeah, I was not. I was like, "Oh, she genuinely wants to learn how to swim," because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to people coming to me like asking for help with stuff and like actually helping them do things, like not it being like
I don't want your help. I'm trying to seduce you.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I was like, "Oh,
like a siren."
Yeah, I was surprised because I was like, "You don't have to do anything to impress me. I'm already impressed by you." That's why we were engaged at this point. And so I just found it very funny. And so then I tried to teach her how to swim, and she wouldn't put her face in the water. And I kept being like, feeling I was talking to like the toddlers I used to teach how to swim. Be like, "Come on, put your face in the water, blow some bubbles, hold on to the wall, and kick your feet." And she was like, "I'm not a child." I was like, "I know you're not, but you're not putting your face in the water, which is kind of crucial to learning how to swim."
I don't even know how we got on this topic, actually. Oh, yeah, I remember now. It's whose turn is it?
Yours.
I swear it's not. I moved here.
Oh,
yeah.
You moved your piece like one square. Mm-hmm. Got you.
Pay attention now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That is on me.
How many stories do we have here?
That's your turn.
Oh.
If we haven't already said this, one of the things we like to do is banter, but not in an aggressive or angry way, just in a fun back and forth. We jokingly in my family kind of like we argue or bicker back and forth all the time anyway. Jess used to say or explain it to people as like my family doesn't argue out of anger. My family, like me, my family, we argue for sport. That's how she would say it, and it's something that she's quickly gathered and come alongside in that. And so we argue back and forth quite a lot, but all in good spirit, all in good fun. We try really hard not to cross lines and piss each other off or be overly hurtful. But it is funny to me because sometimes we will catch ourselves in the middle of doing it and in the presence of other company, and people will be genuinely looking at us.
They'll be concerned.
With concern.
Like, "Are you guys okay?" And we're like, "Yeah, why? Why would you ask?" We've had so many friends like pull us aside and be like, "Hey, are you guys good? You're like fighting in front of me." I'm like, "This is not fighting, sir or ma'am,
or ma'am,
medium or medium
or me." What are we talking to? Spirits?
Maybe.
Mediums?
Maybe.
Anyway, one of my favorite moments always comes up like this. We'll be having these back and forths, and it's always someone who doesn't know us very well, and they always target me.
Yeah, they're always like, "This man here."
Not how that goes. Anyway, the story I'm sharing, I have no idea where that's coming from, but the story I'm sharing is A lot of times people look at me and be like, Alex, be nice to your wife. And she go, yeah, Alex, be nice to your wife. And then she acts the victim. And then everyone's like, Alex, why are you picking on her? I'm like, okay. And then, then I'm stuck looking like this bad guy because now all of a sudden, instead of bickering and arguing back and forth with me, she's acting like the victim. And then she laughs about it when they're not looking. And then eventually, by the end of the night, she usually fesses up. But yeah, it usually leaves me in an awkward situation a couple times to be just like, okay, thanks for making me look like the bad guy.
Fun times. I had a really bad habit when I was a kid and a teenager of thinking that no one was my friend. And then somebody would be like, oh yeah, my friend Jess. And I'd be like, we're not friends. And then they would be like heartbroken. And then I'd be like, what have I done? What, I didn't know I did anything. And then they'd be like, oh my gosh, I thought we were like the best of friends. And then I'd be like, I had no idea I don't know what's happening. So yeah, I learned that lesson as a child.
Learned that lesson.
Yeah. Like one person like confronted me and they were like, you were at my 5th grade birthday party. You held my hand when I was sad. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize this meant so much to you. Gonna put that little guy over here away from the action.
You sure you want to do that?
Oh no. Oh no, I didn't even see that. Just took me out. Not swimming though.
Talk about taking people out, and not in a dating sense, but in the
Oh.
sense of trying to murder someone.
What?
I was walking one night in the upstairs of my wife's parents' home, and she thought, you know what would be a great idea? I'm going to run and jump on his back. And it's going to be this adorable, cute moment. This is what she thought. What she did was run up behind me, jump onto my shoulders with her hands, and then extend her knee into the center of my back and knock me flat on my face, which was kind of funny, except for the fact that when she did it, she also twisted my body, and I almost fell down a flight of stairs. I barely stopped from going down the stairs. So she attempted murder on me, all in the plight of being cute and wanting to jump on my back.
In my mind, I thought it was gonna be like those slow motion scenes where the couple is like running and they like jump hug each other. I thought this was gonna be that. So I was like, this will be great. It'll be so fun.
Jump hug each other while she was behind me.
Fine. It's in the past.
I don't know how many other attempted murders she's attempted. We'll never know.
I mean, yeah.
See?
What about weird college stories?
Actually, most of my college stories are pretty cool.
Like, you didn't like pull pranks on people?
Yeah, my problem with pranks. I have a problem with pranks. The pranks I pull are generally pretty good. The problem with my pranks is I have to elevate. So if you prank me at like a level 3, I've got to get you at a level 5. Because I don't just like one step. It's like I got to get up there enough that you don't want to prank me back. But if you do, you prank me back, you're usually getting me about the same level. And then I'm going to up you to another ante again. To the point where I have made some enemies in life.
Like the pickle boxing thing.
Pickle boxing.
Yeah, you're like, I bet you pickle can't box, and then
yeah, I guess that's a prank I pulled on your brother once, but completely different story because I didn't make an enemy of your brother for life.
I think he liked it.
I was so confused there for a minute, but yeah, one time I did I did cheat. I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, prank or no prank, I don't make a bet on things I'm gonna lose. If I bet on something, it's because I know I'm gonna win, and I don't know why her brother to this day hasn't learned this. So I don't bet on anything that I have a chance of losing. Like I only make a bet if I'm like I know I'm right. And so I jokingly told him that a pickle can box, like with boxing gloves, can get into a boxing match. And so the wager was that if he was wrong, he was going to have to wear a dress up and I believe it was it up and down the driveway or just
I don't know. I don't remember.
yeah I don't remember either. But anyway, lo and behold, I brought up a video of the old VeggieTales video of a pickle boxing, to which his chagrin he lost the bet, but he lost graciously enough to wear your dress. Which I still have a picture of today, by the way, Jordan. Even though I told you I deleted that,
Oh, no.
I still have a picture. I told you I was going to frame it and give it to him on his wedding day.
That's a great gift.
Well, I'm actually not going to give it to him. I'm going to give it to his wife.
Okay, that's a greater gift.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know that he hasn't learned. You haven't tried to prank him or to whatever recently. You haven't tried to do any bets recently.
Probably not more recently, but he still doesn't believe me when I'm like, dude, I know for a fact.
I know.
Lessons learned, though, if I ever tell you, like, I will bet you, it's because I know I'm going to win.
That sounded so irritating. Like, I know I'm going to win.
I don't bet on chance, and I don't bet on the possibility of loss. I only bet on things I know I will win. So I don't gamble.
Okay, so I had one where I was like...
Did you take your turn yet, though?
Yeah, I did. I moved right there.
Pretty sure the piece has been there.
No, I moved it one.
Oh. Okay.
I had this memory. Well, I had a dream where I was sobbing and feeding the homeless Taco Bell tacos. And so then I went to all these people in town who were like influential people that I knew. And I was like sobbing and I was like, you guys, I just want to feed the homeless Taco Bell tacos. And they were like, such a great idea, but how? And I was like, I don't know. And then it just kind of dissipated from that. That's like a weird memory.
Okay. For sure.
Pretty weird, pretty wild.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things on the other side of the spectrum was being the youth pastor of a group. Me and one of the youth leaders went and bought extra 60 deodorant for summer camp one year. And what we did is we went up to people throughout camp, and we waited until like Wednesday, so like 3 days into like this 5-day camp, and we'd go high five. And as soon as like the middle school guys would raise up to give us a high five, we would take a stick of deodorant and go whoop up their armpit just to make sure that they were not stinking everybody out.
That's nice.
Yeah. They didn't think it was very nice. We thought it was hilarious, though. I was working at a summer camp. Nope.
What? Why?
Oh, I guess you're right. Never mind. I'm sorry. I was looking at something different. We were in a summer camp one year. I had a buddy of mine come out, and he was a guest counselor, and these kids wanted to get saved, and so they wanted to pray the sinner's prayer and all this other stuff, and it was great. And he's like, but I've never done this, so I don't know what I'm doing. Do you mind coming over to my cabin and helping? And I'm like, sure. I had never done it either at this point in life. And so I'm like, why not? It can't be that hard. So anyway, we go in, we have this whole conversation. We're talking about different stuff. This kid is all sorts of confused about different things, but he's like trying to relate to us like how Zeus was like an actual god and stuff like that and all those other things. And we're like, not quite like that, but okay. So we get to this whole thing. He's like, okay, I think I understand what's going on now. You know, I do want to make this faith serious. All this other stuff really cool. And so we're like, let's pray. And right as we get ready to pray, he just looks up at us and goes, wait, before we do this, is there some kind of like weird Kool-Aid that we have to drink? Because my mom told me not to drink the Kool-Aid, not to fall for that trick. And I'm like, what Kool-Aid? What trick? And I had, like, to this point also never heard that story.
Yeah.
And so I was, like, utterly, like, confused. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, there's no Kool-Aid. And then he, does his thing. We leave, and I'm like, what in the world? So then I Google searched, like, church and Kool-Aid and went down that rabbit trail of awkwardness. And I was like, oh, great. This kid's that I must have messed that kid up for life. That's how I feel at this point too.
I wonder where he is now.
I don't know. Well, it's your turn.
I hid in the air vents once. I scaled the wall. Like, at first I was like, this will be great. And then after a while, because they couldn't find me because I was too good, just that good. And then I was like, gosh, it's been a really long time. They still haven't found me. And then so, like, my arms are getting tired. And I'm just like holding myself in place. And then I'm like, my arms are getting shaky and I feel like I'm about to fall. And then that's because I made a sound because my arms were shaking. That's when a kid found me and they were like, she's in here. Let's pile in. And they're like, how'd you get in there? And I just squeezed myself in here. And so then a bunch of kids come, like, shoving their bodies into this air vent. And I don't even know how many people were trying to get in there, but it was bad and it started getting hot. And I was like, you guys gotta get out of here right now. And they were like, no, we're hiding. And I was like, no, you need to get out because I'm gonna fall on you because I can't hold myself up anymore. And then I did at some point, and then they were like, why did you do that? And I was like, I told you I was gonna do that, you sacks. So yeah. Anyways. How does the king take people out?
The same way as every other piece does.
Oh, okay.
The only difference is to kill the king, you have to surround him on all 4 sides.
Yeah.
Or the wall and 3 sides kind of thing. You definitely have more awkward things that happened while in church camps and stuff like that than me. Most of the other stuff that, like, we did was just dumb things that weren't awkward. I mean, they might fall in the lines of cringey. Like, and this is even one that I didn't even participate in it, but I was aware of it as a student in high school. Our youth pastor and I believe it was actually my brother, decided to play nutball, which is where you sit across the room from each other at any distance you choose, and you sit with your legs open like this, and you throw usually a ball or something and with the intent of trying to hit the other person in the nuts. And the idea is, like, once you get hit, you're out because you don't want to play anymore. But they decided to play this game with a full can of soda.
Oh.
Yeah. From across the room.
That's a good idea.
Like a large room. So the can was probably hitting about 15 feet. And I'm talking about like an auditorium room. So, like, the roofs were huge. You would they were throwing this can of soda, and it was like probably like a 15-foot arc as it was sailing across the room. And it just happened to nail our youth pastor right in the balls. And he let out this biggest, like, and then rolled sideways. To which then my brother called out, "Who's next?" To the fact that all of us turned and left. And we were like, nope, that's not happening. No one else was signing up for that kind of pain.
Doesn't seem like a good idea.
No. Actually, that youth pastor probably was at our church for about 2 years, and in the 2 years he was there, he got hit in the nuts more times than anyone I've ever known in the rest of my life. Yeah, like, from the fact that he was walking by, and this is like in the height of Wii bowling and Wii Sports, and he was just walking behind someone, and they went back to bowl and hit him in the nuts. I mean, completely just
so many casualties with the Wii.
Yep, and his son, one of his youngest sons, was learning to throw, and he was like a baby, just learned how to stand, so probably like 1, and threw a baseball into his nuts probably at least 3 times where I was in the room to watch it happen. And I feel for the guy. Yeah, it's surprising.
Surprising.
Yeah, I don't know how
True talent.
Well, the fact that he had a child after all this.
Oh yeah, the miracle.
Yeah, pretty much.
The miracle.
You make your move.
Yeah, I moved right there.
All of your little moves.
I know. So I have a memory of I was in like just the regular Sunday morning service, and as I said earlier, my church was very Pentecostal, and they always had these like dramatic altar calls where like it was just a lot of like sadness and weeping and like ooh all the time.
How did that go?
You'll hear it again in the story. So I was at the altar because for some reason, because of like all the messages were like you like fire and brimstone, and you don't know if you're good enough, and like only the elect will be good enough. So like I was like, oh my gosh, the elect is not me. I'm not gonna be one of them. And so then I was always the one, like one of them, like many, honestly.
The elect is not me.
Yeah, I was always rushing to the altar, weeping, and just like I'm a filthy wretch, like all the time. And so I was like up in the front, like and like even the youth pastor who I defied with trying to show up and do that flyleaf song, he was on the worship team too, and he would play guitar and stuff. And he'd always look at me kind of like like I could tell he was like judging me and stuff. Like like why are you up here again? And then one time I was at his house because I was friends with his daughter, and he was like, I like how it doesn't matter how many times you go to the altar, you just keep going to the altar for some reason, and it's just cool, I guess. Like it was like this forced compliment where he was trying to like make me feel better about being so weird. And so this was like one of the many times that I was up there and I was like feeling all like shame and stuff. And then out of nowhere, I hear this sound and it sounds like this. It's like, and I was like, I'm like, I say this out loud and I'm like, do you guys hear that cat sound?
How is that a cat sound?
It sounded like a dying cat, like an injured cat. And so I was like,
hang on. I need to hear this sound one more time because I want to know how that sound is the sound of a dying cat.
It was like,
see, because when I hear that, I think like ghost, like really terrible old cartoon, like where there would be like a ghost and they're like, ooh. That's what it sounds like. So I don't know how old cartoon ghost and dying cat are the same sound, but sure.
Yeah, it was like this ghostly cat sound. And out loud, because I just blurted it out. I was like, do you guys hear that cat sound? And people looked at me funny. And then out of nowhere, these arms grabbed me right here and locked themselves around my torso. And I'm swaying all of a sudden. And I'm like, who's behind me making this ghostly cat sound? And my eyes, I felt like they were huge. Like they were just my eyes got so big because I was like, what in the world is happening right now? And I look slowly behind me, and it's this like elderly woman who I've never spoken to. And she just saw me up there and wanted to pray for me or something, but she was doing it in the most uncomfortable, awkward way possible. And it was, on one hand, I was like, this is kind of sweet because she's this caring elderly woman. But at the same time, like, why did you have to do it this way? Why did you have to put your arms around my torso like this and sway with me? I could feel her breathing, like right here, and I could hear the oh. And I looked back, and she's like, "Oh, bless you," and I'm like, And I don't know how long this took place, but it felt like it was hours because of how awkward it was. So then I'm just swaying, and I'm like, "Oh no, please make it stop." And then afterwards, one of my friends was like, who was that? Do you guys know each other? I've seen her here, but you've never talked to her." And I was like, I have no idea. And then she approached me later at the end of service and was like, oh, I just saw you up there. And I really wanted to just wrap my arms around you, so I did. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm trying to leave, and she's just like, are you okay, child? And I'm like, I'm fine.
Can you imagine though if that was the excuse that he gave to me? I just saw you, and I wanted to wrap my arms around you, so I did it. Like, where else is that gonna fly? And really, that doesn't really fly in this situation either.
No.
But the fact is, like, people would say these kinds of things regularly, and it's like deemed acceptable in church circles. I just don't get it. Like, I just wanted to lay hands on you, so I did. How do you say that in a straight face and not realize how awkward that is?
It's very awkward, and I didn't like it. And I still remember it. It's burned in my memories.
Oh my god. Is that why today you still have an issue with me hugging, or not me? It's like when other people, you just hate being hugged from behind by people. Like, you allow me to do it, that's fine, but because we're married. But I'm wondering if this is part of the triggering aspect of why you hate being hugged from behind by people.
This might be actually why, because I've always been like, why do I hate this so much? This is so weird. Like, I know I get it in a sense, but it just doesn't really click. But this makes a lot of sense now that we're talking about this.
Totally. Go ahead and keep telling your story, but
yep.
How did you take that one? Where was he?
I moved this guy. He was like back here.
Oh,
and I took him out.
Okay. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah. Also, like when people in churches are like, "Fill us, Lord, fill us to overflowing." I'm like, what is that? Why are we saying that? Who gave you that permission to say that?
Who gave you that permission to say that?
I was gonna say who gave you the right, but then I was like, I don't know. Oh, I have a really good one. So the same youth pastor who I just hijacked his worship team, or it wasn't really even a team in the youth group, it was just like him and his daughter. He was an artist, and so he would take a bunch of the kids to go paint and stuff. And that's normal, but what I'm about to tell you is not normal. So we would he had a van, and he would, as it was running, like still running, he'd be like, jump out, grab those political signs. And we would run and grab them, and he'd be like, jump back in, Starsky and Hutch it, man. And we'd be like, what? This was the 90s, you guys. The 90s was unhinged. It was unsafe and unhinged, and we didn't know anything back then. And we didn't care, man, we didn't care. But he was like, jump out and get those political signs. I don't like that DeFalzio governor guy or whatever his name was. And so I'd be like, sure, I'm not questioning anything, because that's how I was back then. And so I grabbed it, and we would like spray paint over them and create them into like legit abstract art. And I was like, I'm not going to question it. And now that I see it now, I'm like, we were kind of vandalizing things.
Not kind of. There's not a kind of in that sentence.
Yeah. Fun times.
Talking about political signs makes me think of the time we went to go scout out a summer camp location. And while we were up there, we drove by this area where there had been road work at one point, and there was one of those road work ahead signs on the side of the road still. I never realized how big those signs were until 17-year-old me jumped out of a minivan and grabbed it and shoved it into the middle of the minivan, not into the back, because we didn't pump the trunk. Because this was a pull over on the side of the road, jump out, grab, and jump back in. Those signs, when they're like squared up, almost fill the inside of a minivan from left to right. They leave you very little room between wall to wall. And that is how at some point we came home with a road work ahead sign.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I think my parents still have it, to be honest, in their garage.
I think they do, actually. I think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's quite large. You don't realize how big those are when you're driving past them on the freeway. They're pretty big.
They're pretty big.
It's still your turn.
I literally took your guy.
Oh, yeah, but then I moved after that.
Oh, you moved? Where did you move?
Oh, maybe I didn't. I thought I did.
I didn't think you did. Because I watched you.
Okay.
Oh, I had one. And I lost it.
Oh, no.
Felt like it was good, too. Oh, there was one time where, ironically, it's the same youth pastor as
all your stories, I think, are around one youth pastor. I think you said one unhinged dude.
He really was, and he was so awesome, honestly. Like, it was the greatest. But he was like, he shared this really heavy message, and it was like, what are the pain things in your life? What are the things, pain things. What are the things that cause you so much anguish? And we were all just like sobbing, like we were like, oh my gosh. And he's like, write them down on these tiny slips of paper that don't fit full sentences because they're so tiny. He was like, do it. And we were like, okay, no questions asked. And we're like writing them down, and there's no room. So like all the kids pretty much are doing their shame things front to back on the papers. So we're running out of room, and then one kid was like,
we like to do our shame things on small pieces of paper.
Yeah, and then
that's how it sounds.
One kid was like, can I get a second piece of paper for the same thing? And we were like, how are you going to know? Because it's going to be mixed in, because he was going to have us mix it in a bucket. We were like, how are you going to know that they're together? And he's like, I'll put a part 1 and a part 2. And we're like, but it doesn't have your name on it. He's like, it'll be my handwriting. And we were like, okay. So we just let him do it, because we're like, this kid, he's very intent on doing it this way, so whatever. And we put the pieces of paper in there, and we he had like one of the kids pull some out and start praying over them and reading them aloud, and they just were so awkward that the youth pastor was like, okay, we're not doing that anymore, we're going to do something different. And so then we didn't do that all of a sudden. We were like, weird, why have we stopped? Because like it didn't seem like a big deal to like 14, 15-year-old me. So it's like, whatever, I don't see why it's a big deal, but sure. And then he pulls out like this match, and he lights the bucket on fire.
The bucket, not the paper?
The bucket. Like in the bucket. It wasn't packaging. Yeah.
I'm just picturing at this point when you say he lit the bucket on fire, like that he lit the metal bucket on fire without lighting the paper on fire. I think what you're meaning to say is that he lit the paper on fire.
Well, he put the match in the bucket.
Got you.
Yeah, and then he put the bucket on the stage, and he's like, this is our altar. We're sacrificing these things to God. And it felt like it was very on the fly. Like he was like, okay, we're not doing that first thing because it's getting awkward and just uncomfortable. So we're going to pivot right now in the moment.
Pivot!
And I don't think he had a plan, but he was like, where's the match? Oh, here it is.
I hope you guys catch the Friends reference in that.
Yeah. And then he's like, see, it's all burnt because Jesus took it away. He's like, your shame is gone. Accept this gift of grace. And we were like, oh my gosh. And we totally bought in. We were like, yes, I feel so much better. I feel great. A weight is lifted now. And then afterwards, the kids were like, what did you write? What did you write? Which one was yours?
It's still your turn.
Still my turn.
Yep.
I was telling stories.
I know. It was quite cute of you.
Whatever.
Like, I have a lot to think about when you start talking about lighting buckets on fire. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, there's no way the story ends well if there's literally a bucket on fire. The fire was contained. The fire is contained in the bucket as one thing.
Yeah.
It's still a little unhinged. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just saying, it's kind of odd picturing a bucket on fire.
Yeah, and then he promptly removed the bucket before it could burn too many things important, and then threw it outside and hosed it down. But yeah. Good times.
Sounds like it. Good, take your turn.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm out of stories for now. Unless you have any other really pressing, really good stories you want to share.
I do have one good one actually.
Okay, go for it.
So I'm still kind of goth, but I was very much.
Take your turn though.
I was more into my goth phase, and like I walked into the service, and they were showing this crazy video that's animated, and I know that some people have seen it. I don't even know how to find it anymore, but it was like these like black metal cartoons that were like, if you like metal, you like Satan, you're gonna burn. And then it's like these like heads that are headbanging, and then they just fall off. And this was just in the middle of service in the 90s, and this was just a normal, like, this is fine, it's not weird. And there's like skulls on fire, and they were like, that's gonna happen to you. And then everybody, like, not everybody, but it felt like a lot of people were looking at me. They were like, oh, she's one of them. And so, yeah, that was pretty awkward. That's my last story.
And with that, I think we're not going to get through this game because you can't think and play at the same time.
I know, I can't.
You were doing it, but then you would
so
quit,
hard.
which makes me laugh because I'm like, I really like playing this game with you. So maybe we'll finish this in a minute off camera, but that's kind of all we've got for you guys for now. I hope you've enjoyed some random storytelling with us and talking about cringy church stories. If you have any random cringy church stories,
cringy.
Yeah, cringy, crispy,
yeah,
cuddly.
Ew.
Yeah, but we would love to hear your cringy stories in the comments or whatever, or video response to us with your cringy church stories and tag us in it. We'd love to hear from you guys and talk about it. The other thing is, I don't know how this is going to work moving forward forever, or not forever, but when we do these moments of talking. But if you have any desire to join us for just a conversation about whatever it would be, reach out to us, let us know, and we'd love to talk with you. We'd love to have you on the show. As we do this, it's become blatantly obvious to myself after tonight that I will never know what's going to happen or how these conversations are going to go, and I will just be along for the ride for all of this. So if you do join us, just know that you will probably have no clue what's happening either until it happens. Because the mastermind of this is sitting beside me and gives you no information to go off of. So with that, let us know your crazy church stories, or if you want to be featured on a podcast, and we'll see what we can do.
Bye.
Bye.